It was 12 years ago that Sian Newbury made her first break. Since then, she's earned the title of Hurricane for her lethal brand of potting. And now at 21, she's turned professional, one of the few women to take the plunge in this predominantly male sport. She puts in most of her 6 hours daily practice here at the local snooker hall in Neath, where she's the only woman allowed on the green bays.
It's very hard for women, for the simple reason they're not allowed into clubs, which is sad really, because I think it could be more like a men's game. We'd have a lot more people taking more interest in it, but women just give up if they can't go into clubs to play.
How do you cope if men say, I'm sorry, you just can't come in?
Well, there's not a lot you can do. We just fight them off by saying they're scared to play us, but there's not a lot you can do if you're not allowed in the clubs.
Vera Selby is one of the North's leading women's snooker players. A former world champion, she has several British snooker titles to her name. So highly rated is she that Vera is the only woman to be awarded the Grade A in refereeing. Presently retired from lecturing at Newcastle Polytechnic, Vera spends most of her time coaching the growing numbers of youngsters, particularly girls, who are now interested in learning the skills of the cue. But despite the obvious respect from fellow players, Vera was last year unable to play at 20 out of 35 clubs in her division. The reason being, Vera is a woman.
Well, Vera Selby there in Newcastle, that's a fairly amazing figure. What sort of reasons do the men who keep you out of these clubs normally give for doing that?
Well, it's almost unbelievable, but I've several times been told, what would it look like if you beat one of our men players? They say, well, what about, we haven't got a loo. They use all these sort of excuses, which really there's no reply to, is there?
You think they're fairly lame excuses because they simply don't want women in there?
I think so, yes. I think that is the problem.
You don't really think there's something in what the men have to say? I mean, for example, some of these snooker tables are in perhaps less than refined clubs. And, you know, do women really want to go in there and play snooker with the men?
Well, I think if they're really keen on snooker, they're interested in the game and they're not bothered about the surroundings. I've been in some of the roughest, toughest clubs in the area, and I must say that in a lot of them I've had a very warm welcome and made a lot of friends.
So you think it's not the male players perhaps so much as the committees who run the clubs?
Yes, that's it. A lot of the players, the great majority of them, have said to me personally, we'd like you to come to our club, and they've made great efforts to try and persuade the club committee to let me in.
Now, Vera, you're a very active player in the Amateur Snooker League, aren't you? But you've actually lost out on some important championship matches because of prejudice.
Yes, well, the situation is that in singles and doubles, for instance, if the home player comes out of the hat first, well, the home player does come out first, and he's from a men-only club, then I'm not allowed to go to his club, and he, if he wishes, can claim the match.
So you simply don't play that match? It seems terribly unfair. And what's the attitude of the league when you talk to them about it, the Newcastle and Gateshead League?
Well, they say they're not prepared to do anything about that. They say that situation exists, and it's just hard luck, and I must just accept it. That's
Vera,
what I'm told.
What do you think is the effect on the game generally for women, the fact that they don't get into clubs to practice and play?
Well, I think a lot are discouraged from playing. I coach a lot of girls who are very, very keen to play and show a lot of potential, and I try to get them into leagues to play to get more competitive games, but it is extremely difficult, and I'm afraid some of them just lose heart eventually.
Well, Vera Selby, let's hope for better days, and thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.